Hello and welcome to this training session for QQEvolution. Today we're going to be going over the client screen, which of course is where you enter a lot of information on your clients. So we're going to open the client's drawer, and then from there we're going to go ahead and we're going to access the client screen. Now we're going to go over our client screen, which is in our client drawer. It comes right after the search screen. This is where we add all of our clients' information, and this is where we can come to edit any of their information. As you can see, there's a whole lot of information that you can input on this one screen. What we're going to do before we get into that is we're going to go up here to the top of the screen, and we're just going to touch briefly on these buttons that go across the top. Most of all these were already explained to you from the search screen, so I'm not going to get into all of them. Again, we have the print button here where you can print letters and labels, but you also have the ability to print an envelope or do what's called a print screen. Now, a print screen is that it will print out a picture of the screen as is. Maybe you need to work on files from home and you want to take a picture of this screen home with you, or maybe you need to go out in the field. You can print a picture of this screen out. Next to it, here's where you can add a new client or you can delete a client. Be careful, delete a client. Delete is permanent. We give you a warning if you're sure, and if I answer yes, this client along with all of their information will be permanently deleted. Okay? Be careful. I'm going to go ahead and answer no to that. Next to this is where we have our client's status. Now I'm looking at my active clients. Now, what I can do is I can make this client inactive, or I can make them a prospect if I like, simply clicking on the button. And it would move them along with all their information either into the inactive section or the prospect section. I could also do vice versa. If I was on a prospect, I can move them to inactive or to active if I'd like. So this changes the status of your client. Next to this, we have our payment/bill button, which we've already went over from the search screen again, where you can receive a payment, create the finance schedule, you can forward monies or create a bill. Now here we have the Set Note button. What this allows you to do is to set an important note on your client. Let's go ahead and click on it. It opens up this bright yellow box. Now if I'd like to have the date appear when I set this, I can simply, instead of manually doing, I can click on date and put in today's date, and it puts something here important to you. Maybe speak with son, client speaks only German. I'd consider that important to know that my client only speaks German, and when I call or whatever I do, I need to speak with the son. So I consider that important. So now I'm done with it. I'm going to go ahead and close it. And now it appears up here on the upper right hand side, just a snippet of it. And it will appear on every screen from here on out on this client. Like if I switch right here to letters, as you see, I'm still on Robin Smith, and here's their important note. Let's go back to the client screen here. Now you can only have one important note set on a client, but our important note can hold over 200 characters, so you can have a rather large important note in there, or you can have several in one area. And if you don't want to put more than one in there, you also can put notes, any other notes in our memo section. Now if you would like to dismiss this or get rid of this important note, I can simply double click on it, and now I can clear this by manually deleting it or clicking on clear. It says, do you wish to clear it? Yes. Now it's empty. I shut it, and now it's gone. That was the important note that you can set. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to show you all the information that you can put in here. Okay, as you see, there's a lot of stuff that you can put in on this screen. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Add New Client, so we have a blank screen here. It's going to go ahead and pop back. It's getting ready to add a new client. Now here we have a blank screen. Now, I have mine set up to always make my clients active, but if I wish to make it a prospect, I can do that. I can choose to have it personal lines or commercial lines, and here's also where I can put in an X date, and we'll come back to that. So let's go ahead and start adding information in. Here we have the last name, so let's go ahead and add in a person here. Let's going to put in, I already have test, let's go ahead and put in Jones. We're going to go ahead and put in the first name. As you see now, it populates this area because we have a name. Go ahead and put in the first name, and let's put in, let's say Heather Jones, middle name or middle initial, say L, date of birth, social security number. Here's where you can put a driver's license number for the client. Here's where it state their license in. Now we can also do a spouse. Maybe they have a spouse. Let's put in Jones. Let's make it Henry. Again, middle initial, date of birth. We have a place for social security number for the spouse as well as driver's license and state. Underneath here is the name insured. You can change it if you needed to. Here you can put in their website. So if I was going to put in a website, actually this is our company website. If I then click this little envelope, it's going to launch me to this website. Okay, so it will launch me directly over to their website. To the right of this, we have Salutation. That's generally going to be the client's first name, but you can make it whatever it want. What Salutation ties to is when you create your own letter templates, and you'll understand this once you watch our training on Quick Word, how to create your own letter templates, you're able to get the salutation automatically inserted on a letter. So whenever you're creating a letter here for this named insured for Heather, do you want it to say, always say like, Dear Heather? Do you want Heather to be the salutation, or would you like it to say Heather and Henry? You can do that. Underneath here is where our client's number can go. You can manually enter this, or as we showed you in our utilities training, you can set it up so that we automatically do it for you, which is how I have it set up. And you don't have to put in a client number. It doesn't, affect anything. It's up to you if you want to do it or not. Some people like to number their clients. We're just going to move over here to the right, and this is where we can put in all their phone numbers. As you see, I do have my default area code here. I set that up in my utilities, but I can change it if I need to. Let's say she's not even in that area code. Let's say she's here, and I can go ahead and put in phone numbers, put in work phone numbers, and extensions if you need it, the cell phone number. And you can go ahead and put in fax number. Now these numbers here, beeper, phone 2, phone 3, you can click a drop down and choose whatever you want. And in the utilities, you can add and delete from this list. Maybe this is a other fax number besides for this fax, and I can go ahead and put in another number. Maybe here this is a callback number, and so I know when I want to do callback, I always want to use this number. Here's where you can go ahead and put in an emergency contact name. Maybe Henry's her emergency contact name. We can put in an email address form. I'm going to go ahead and put in an email address. And if I click this little picture of the envelope, it's going to go ahead and open up my print email fax box. The dot is already next to print, but I could, or I'm sorry, next to email, but I could print if I wanted. It pulls over the email address that I entered there on the screen, but I can change this. I can also click this little picture of the book, and it will open up and allow me to access my Outlook addresses, and it will allow me to access my addresses out of the Rolodex, which is, the Rolodex is things like my insurance company, lien holders, and things like that. And you can have them in here, and you can send this to multiple people. I can put in a subject. And we can go ahead, if you happen to have an email fax cover letter, which you would have created it yourself in our Quick Word program, if you have one, you can click the drop down and choose it. I don't have any here. I can choose to include my email signature, which you see here, as it tells you, this is the body of the letter, and it says Insurance Test Company. That's because in the utilities, when I set up to use my email program, I put in that I wanted to use a signature, and this is what I had typed in. So now it automatically appears on all my emails when I send them. But I don't have to include it if I don't want. Now you can email multiple items. I can email letters if there is any. I can email images, and I can email forms. Okay, so I can email multiple items. Of course, this is a brand new client, so I don't have anything saved on them. No, I have no saved forms, images, or letters, so right now this is blank. But I could select them, and I can click on send, and it would go ahead and email those items for me. Just a reminder again, as we explained in the utilities, email. In order to email letters, images, and forms out of this program, you had to be routing your email through either Outlook, Microsoft Outlook, or Outlook Express. You have to route it through one of those two programs in order to email those items out of our program. I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel here. You, of course, can email from multiple places in the inside the software. Besides from here, you can also do it from our image section. You can also do it from our forms section. And you also have a place for a second email address. Now we're going to move over here to the left in the middle. This is where we have our addresses. This we'd have a mailing address and where we'd have a garage address. So it's already defaulted right here to the address tab. So let's go ahead and add in an address form. Go ahead and put in a nice little address here. Let's say, of course they're not going to have a suite. I wouldn't assume they wouldn't live in a suite anyway. And let's put it all in form. Now, is this a mailing address? You notice garage property address is grayed out. That is because a garage property address would be attached to a policy. I would need a policy to have this lit up. And I don't have a policy. Once I have a policy on this client, this will no longer be grayed out and I'll be able to use it. And you can also, once on the policy screen, grab or put in a garage address that is there as well, and it would copy back into here for you. So it's grayed out right now because I have no policies here. So I can select this as a mailing address. It says this address would be set as a default mailing address. Do I wish to continue? Yes. And so it's going to go ahead and give it as a default mailing address on this person. Let's go ahead and refresh the screen. Yes, I want to save the changes. I just wanted the screen to refresh, and there you go. There's the mailing address. Again, no garage address as of yet. Here you can also put comments if you'd like. Always use cell phone. Okay, that's a comment I can, to always use the cell phone number. Oh, whoops, allows. Always use cell phone. So I know when I call this person, I always want to use the cell phone when I call this person. Okay, now I can also move over here to the middle right here, and we have miscellaneous. This is where we can select our source. It's how did the client find us? Was it from our flyer, from our newspaper ad, from our walk-in, yellow pages, so forth? Of course, these defaults are set up in the utilities. Here's where we can put a source detail. We can put more detail regarding our source if we'd like. Here's where we can mark an agent. We can click the drop down. These again are set up in the utilities. I can select one. Yes, I want to save the changes. After you select your agent, it automatically flips you over to the policy screen. Just to let you know that's why that happened. Here you can put in your sense. So when did they become a client? I might be entering them for the first time here, but maybe they were a client before I got this system. So I can put in when they became a client. Maybe they became a client of mine back in '02. What is their primary language? Is it English, Spanish, or French? What this ties to is when you create your own letter templates, you're allowed to create letters in different languages, such as in Spanish. And when you create a letter template in Spanish, and if I had an S selected here, QuickFile would know automatically when you print letters on this client to choose the Spanish version. Now we're going to move underneath here down to all this extra information we can put in regarding this client. Let's click on the first one that says policies. I have no policies, but this is where you would see a preview of the policies that this client has. Here's where we can do, actually, you know what, let's go ahead and go back out search screen and let's switch clients to somebody that already has their information. Let's do Robin here. Let's go back to client screen because there's information already on his client so you can see. So you see Robin already has a client. Here's where we show our linked accounts. We showed you when we explained how to use the search screen, we showed you can link accounts. You can link one account with another account for easy access. That's especially handy when a client maybe has a personal and commercial account. So linked accounts, it would show me everybody this client is linked with. I can simply double click here, or under here click on go to account, and it's going to take me to this person's information. So if I double click on it, up pops that other client, Tim Johnson. Now I want to go back to Robin Smith, and since they're linked, I can go back. And you can also link more accounts from here. I can click linked, and I can go ahead and link more accounts as how we explained on the search screen. The next tab we have here is other contacts. You can put a lot of information in here. I'm going to go ahead and click on add. Now let's put in the first name of our other contact. Let's say the other contact is Ralph. Last name, let's say it's the same, Smith. Let's give them their address. And maybe I don't know the city. Maybe I just know that that's their address and they're in Florida. And let's go ahead and give them a zip code. Do they have a driver's license number? You have a place here where you can put in driver's license number for this person and what state they're licensed in. We also have a place where you can put in the other contact's date of birth, if you happen to have it. Here, is this a relative? Right here beside relative is a drop-down. Is it a relative? If I click the drop-down, I can also choose that it's a non-relative. So I'm going to leave it saying that's a relative. Now here's where I'm going to put in the relative. We can click a drop-down, and here's an available list of defaults that we have given you. There are some test things in here that won't be in there once you get this software, like right here, DFAD and XYZ. That's just some test information. I'm using a test database as I'm doing this training. But we have all these other defaults like mother, mother-in-law, father-in-law. Maybe it is the nephew. We also have this little box here that is an ampersand that we can click on. And we can add to these defaults. Maybe the person you want is in here. I can also delete these from here as well. I'm going to go ahead and hit close. After this, we can put in the social security number for this person. We can also choose what their occupation is. If I click the drop down, we do give you numerous defaulted occupations. You can also add to that list if you need to. So let's go ahead and choose an occupation. Let's say it's an accountant. Marital status. Are they married, single, or not? Say they're single. Are they male or female? Here we have places for phone numbers. Again, these have drop-down lists where you can choose what phone number it is. Maybe we just had the cell phone number, and I can go ahead and put in the cell phone number for this person. Okay, but you have places for 4 different phone numbers for this one other contact. We can even put in their email address. Let's put in Ralph@test.com. Here's their email address. And we also have a place to put in comments. Maybe there's something I need to know pertaining to this person. Or maybe I created an X date. Let's say has auto with State Farm. So here we have that they have auto through State Farm, this client. And here I can also put in an X date for that policy. Okay, I can always put in an X date for the client. Let's say that policy is going to expire next year in April. So I'm going to want to go ahead, and this is going to be used later when I'm doing my X dating so that I can try to cross market to this person. So now we go ahead and we have this all filled out. And now here's another other contact. We click on Update to save it. And says, do you want to save changes? Yes, I do. And now they're saved. Now, would I like to put this person also as a client? I can create client from here. I can click on Create Client. Do I want to create a client in QuickFile for the relative? And I can answer yes or no. If I answer yes, it'll put in their default. Let's go ahead and do it. I'll answer yes. And it will go ahead and put in the information I have, and we can continue on and finish filling out this information. Pretty easy, all right? Pretty easy to make a other contact an actual client within QuickFile. Let's go ahead and we're going to go back and choose our original client here of Robin Smith. And go back to Clients. So you can put in as many other contacts here as you'd like, and it takes a whole lot of information. Next we have, of course, the addresses, and this is the addresses for this person. Now I'm on a person that does have a garage or has a policy on them, so I can also put in a garage address. So let's go ahead and put in a garage address. So maybe this is going to be an auto policy, and it's maybe a classic auto that's housed someplace else. I'm going to need to know that information. Let's go ahead and put in a different, let's say this is going to be East 12th Street. And maybe it's housed in, it's not housed in a suite, but you know what, I don't necessarily have to put a suite here. It is a garage address. So let's say it's actually housed in storage area 404. And what city is it housed in? Let's say it's housed in Deerfield. I just can't spell today, can I? Deerfield Beach. And now I want to make this the garage address. I'm going to check on it. I can also put in more comments. Let's do classic car stored here. Okay, so now I know the classic car is stored here. I'm going to go ahead and save this by updating it. Do I want to save it? Yes, I do. Now, it's asking me here, do I want to associate this policy with a garage address? You could be on a client that has multiple policies, and this garage address could go with one of these policies. So I can choose which policy this address goes with. So I can select the policy and hit OK, and it says now it will be assigned, okay, to this policy. Do I want to apply it? Yes, I do. So now it is assigned to that policy. Now from here I can go ahead and click on Go to Policy if I'd like. Now, if I click on Assign Address again, I'm able to uncheck mark this, hit OK, answer yes to yes, I want to save it, and now the policy is unassociated with this address. Okay, so if I made a mistake, I can always go and undo it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK and answer yes, and now it's associated. So now you can have as many addresses in here as you'd like. I can click Add and keep on adding them if I'd like. Okay, last tab we have here for our personal lines is employers. I can put in any employer information. All right, so let's say this person works at Quick Quote. Contact, let's say it's going to be in Jim. Address is 350 Fairway Drive, and let's say there's a Suite 101. I just cannot, I got all thumbs today. Okay. And what do they do? We can click the drop down to our defaults here, or you know, if we need to, we can always add to it. So let's go ahead and go through here and let's see what we got here that might go good to it. Let's say they handle maybe it's a programmer. Again, you can click this little ampersand to add if you need to add more occupations. You can put in their employment date. When did they become employee? So you can go ahead and put in an employment date. Here's where you can go ahead and put in the phone numbers for the employer. and put in their extension, whatever that may be. All right, multiple phone numbers. Again, you can put in an email address, and you can put in the website for the employer if you'd like. I click on Update. Would I like to save the changes? Yes. And now those changes have been saved, and we can add in multiple employers. Again, we can put in a comment if we need to, and we can also create this person as a client. I can click on Create Client, and I can make them a commercial client. And that's how all this, look at all this information you can put in here. And this is how you put it all in here. This one screen holds a wealth of information for you. And we do have reports tied to a lot of this information, like other contacts we can run reports on and so forth. Now, the screen does change slightly when we do commercials. I'm going to choose commercial. And you notice the screen has changed a little bit. Up here is where you put in the insured. You have a place where you can put in the federal employee ID number, the FEIN number. Okay, we still have salutation and client number. Here's where we can do a business type. What type of business is it? Here's where you can put in a DBA name, if there happens to be a DBA. Here's where you can put in this company's website. Again, all the phone numbers, also email addresses over here. Here's where you put in the primary person. You can put in the business partner if you need to. It has the same for addresses and has the same for miscellaneous. Underneath here, it's the same for policies, linked accounts, other contacts, addresses, but now instead of employers, we have employees, where you can go ahead and click on Add and put in their employees. Maybe you have employee of trainer, put in their names here, the middle initial if you happen to have one, and you can go ahead and put in their last name. And great, you can put in address, suite, city, state, zip, date of birth, their employment date here. You can go ahead and we have places for more multiple phone numbers. Again, we have place for more marital status, for if they're male or female. You can put in the occupation, of course. Okay, just lots and lots of information in here. And you, as well as you can set up X dates on this person if you want to try to cross-market them if you'd like. And you can set up comments as well in an email address. You click on Update, it will save the information. And now we have employees listed here on this person. And that's basically the gist of our client screen. There's one more thing I'd like to show you back under our personal lines. We have an area here where you can attach a little image pertaining to the client. Maybe you want to put in a picture of the driver's license, or maybe you want to put in the client's image here. You can do that. We can click on Attach. This is going to allow us to browse our computer. And let's see if I can find a little picture somewhere here for us. Let's go ahead and put this one in. It's uploading it, and now here it appears. There's my little baby Bodie. He's a lot older now, but he's still just about as small. So now we have an image here. And you can choose in our utilities, as we told you during training, to have this always appear automatically when you come in here, or you can have it appear simply by clicking on it. Okay? And you can change it, and you can also detach it, pull it out of here and put it back where you got it from. So you can have a little image here. So if I hit detach, it says the current image is about to detach. Are you sure you want to proceed? Yes. And now it pulls it off. And here you can also reattach another one if you'd like. So here now, that is our client screen. As I said, a whole lot of information here. You can put in all kinds of stuff pertaining to this client, you know, other contacts, lots of addresses, and so on. Sky's the limit here about how much information you can put in. Okay, so again, that was our clients drawer.